some of these words. I spawned in here a bit late, but it's fine. My beloved Caroline is speaking today. Our princess. We're gonna find a couple words. Currently on here. There's also a market on how late she's gonna be. So I don't know if we live trade that one as well, even before we live trade some of the words, but we're gonna see also the vibe of the press conference. I want to wonder if they're gonna be talking about Hamas or not, the deal. I'm gonna pull up the transcript of the last one. Yeah, show transcript. Unless she didn't say Tara, did she? You go no Ukraine. You can go no, definitely go like no Ukraine. She really say October 7th? I know it's tomorrow. No Russia, really? That high? His last trade at 59. I know she started it with illegal aliens. Dude, where's this other one? Gotta turn down a little bit. Holy shit. Here we go.
I'm asking you if you can...
Money has never gone to illegal aliens in the United States of America.
I'm asking you if you can explain children's health insurance program. There seems to be a disconnect in the messaging.
Are you denying that Medicaid money has never gone to illegal aliens in the United States?
Medicaid money.
I'm asking you if you can explain the disconnect in the messaging.
I most certainly can. The Democrats' proposal, their continuing resolution.
Medicaid's nice. Medicare is one.
Continuing resolution was a clean continuing resolution.
It's only gone down.
No partisan politics injected into it. There were no conservative wish lists injected to it. What the Republicans want and still want to this very second is a clean continuing resolution to...
She's still late, isn't she?
You got it done. You got it done. In fact, the best wins are the ones where it takes you a while. Defense doesn't show up right away.
I think War's kind of a lock.
Listen, you're hearing this from a all-conference honorable mention. Wide receiver, Forsyth High.
We got different ways to say it. Department of War. They had the Navy thing. It's gonna be very Army based. Also, she's talking about the war in Gaza, the war in Ukraine. There's so many different ways this could hit. The Department of War.
The rest of your life, you're wearing a different kind of uniform. There's going to be shitty days. There's going to be tough days.
It's like a 13% return, though. It's not great.
Good leaders, clear missions, and missions with no clarity at all. And what you do in those moments is what's going to be the difference between life and death for the men.
Maybe we put up limit orders as it happens for war.
You are their compass. They will look to you, just like you look to your quarterback or your linebackers or your O-line. You say, hey, I'm on you, I'm on your back, we're going north. You did that today. Love the Air Force. They don't have it on you there.
Dude, you have no on inflation, man. Why was it traded so low before?
Honor to be
And then recently-
your Secretary of War. You are in the War Department. I don't know if you saw, gave a little speech on Tuesday. That's right, he's big. That's right. No more
I'm gonna put
weirdos.
bids up for war, man.
Two P2 tests, no matter who you are. Standards, discipline, accountability, readiness, all the things you hear from your professor, from the soup, from your coach, and from your commanders. It's the basics. It's blocking and tackling of leadership, of command. That's what you're learning here. That's what your formations need. That's what the country needs. And all I know, and I never did anything near what all of you have done here. at
Fund
this
the United States government. What?
All I know when I was a young rifle platoon leader, all I wanted to know is that my commander had my back.
So you won't be late above 10
When I had
minutes?
to do difficult things, when I had to do things in dangerous places in the middle of the night, do they have my back, even if I make a mistake? Let me tell you this, from President Trump to all of you, we have
She's
your
been
back.
7.
The nation has your back. Your leadership has your back. Stick to
Oh,
it.
look at that.
Fight like hell. Do what you did on the field today, and America
Look at that
never,
liquidity.
ever go wrong.
Ugh. That liquidity is fucking dog shit.
Well done. Where's my linebacker?
No one thinks he's gonna be actually above 35 minutes, huh? Can I hedge my emotional weight of waiting above 30 minutes?
I hope and pray
I think war is so
that someday when
mm,
my sons or daughters decide to make the decision you made at the age you made it, you
It's
put
like you
something
make-
bigger than yourself.
you make $70, bro.
You chose something bigger than yourself on day one.
It's not.
That means
It's not.
something. You have my respect because of it, and I'm going to work my ass off along with everybody we work with to make sure you have everything you need whenever you need it in the formation you have. Gentlemen, men, warriors.
And inspiring words from the Secretary of War over the course of the last several days as the warrior ethos is back in this country. And the far left can laugh about it, but it's those who are anti-military who don't understand the process. And I recommend that they find out what the traditions are,
President has
and that
directed
the
Secretary
recruitment
Hegseth
is
to
through
provide all
the roof. The
necessary
proof is
troops
in the
to
pudding
protect
as much as they want to
war-ravaged
spin it. The
Portland and any
military
ICE
is not one of
The
their
only way it hit
sons,
last time was
and
war
far
ravaged Portland.
left
Was the
lunacy,
only way.
but rather a military readiness to
Oh,
be
don't know about that one.
to be combative and to end any threat against United States interests, period.
Average American.
And that's
No
why you'd be a
lipstick on
fool
men.
to mess with the United States.
No
of
more
America.
lipstick
The
on men.
terrorists found out just a couple of days ago, again from Venezuela, with a boat that was full of drugs that could have killed 25 to 50,000 of Americans, citizens and residents. So it's smart to not want to do that. As good night, 3, 2, 1. Boom, they're gone. I memorized that from over the weekend. That was a lot of fun to watch, and unclassified directly from @real
Dude,
Donald Trump,
he-
the president of the United States, authorizing that through.
I
the
know I'm live
Capitol
trading this shit. Did he
with
just
all
like
threats
memorize when the boat was gonna explode?
Gulf of America from Venezuela, so they of Americans, citizens and residents. So it's smart to not want to do that.
Look at-
As good night, 3, 2,
3,
1.
2, 1.
Boom, they're gone. Memorize that.
He knew the exact frame. What a guy.
Mate all threats, and it's amazing.
This guy is
to
so
allow
like
those
right
in
side
uniform
coded.
to do
He
their
memorized
jobs,
the
how
exact
swiftly and how
frame
good
that
they
the
can
cartel
act,
boat
whether it's our police,
bombed
local
up.
to state authorities, also all the way up to ICE and the federal authorities doing an amazing
Wow,
job.
Portland was trading
President
so low
Trump
before.
now authorizing 300 National Guard troops to go into the city
I
of
should get on
Chicago.
these shits before, man.
And today, Brandon Johnson, the failed mayor of the
She's
Windy
still
City,
she's still going
signed an
late, man.
executive
Look at
order
15.
That is likely unconstitutional because the federal immigration enforcement is under the prowess of the federal government and the
Wow, she's
enforcement
going
of
15 minutes.
the executive article.
She's
2
going over
branch
15
of
minutes.
Our government, and he's allegedly forcing all ICE agents out of public areas, or even where they might be assembling in private areas as well. I think that's up to the ownership of those private entities. But regardless, the mayor of Chicago does not have that authority. In turn, Illinois, the state of Illinois, suing the Trump administration as a result of getting that law enforcement into the city. But we've seen with residents their comments that they're actually welcoming these ICE agents to make the city safer. As the same thing happened, California National Guard being called up and moved into Portland, Oregon because of the violence, and independent journalists like Katie Davenport being struck in the eye, giving her a black eye by one of those Antifa thugs that was in the streets of Portland, attempting to make it a severed zone.
I'm not sure they have
Something
enough
similar
with
to what we saw
Russia
in
to be
Washington
mentioning it that much.
during the summer of love and the woke
That's why it's below
nonsense
50,
following
but
the George Floyd
she didn't say in her last one.
riots. And what a difference it has been in America.
We get a George
2025
Floyd
to
strike.
2020, when remember Senator Rand Paul and his wife Kelly coming out of President Trump's re-election speech and renomination in the South Lawn of the White House during COVID for the Republican National Convention, almost run over and abused, attacked from the Antifa left. If it wasn't for those Secret Service officers and the Washington Capitol Police, they would have been.
Antifa's so high.
We've seen that with so many lawmakers, and some more than others. Senator Rand Paul, in fact, his neighbor tackled him when he was mowing the lawn. I mean,
Antifa
how
is
low
so
can we
high.
go? We continue to see this left-wing violence in America.
Because we were talking about Portland. Should Antifa be as high as Portland should?
Whether it was Steve Scalise,
I guess it's lower.
inspired by crazy Bernie Sanders of Vermont, to take
Crazy
his
Bernie
life,
Sanders.
during negotiations when it came to the budget, and then continuing resolutions. And if it wasn't for Senator
All right, we've drank the entire Celsius. That means
medical doctor,
we have all of the power.
put the belt as
We have the 200 milligrams of power
the House leader
of caffeine
is with us to this
to
day.
send us
So this violence needs to stop.
into profit.
Stop provoking it. People
Man, I should have put that on that 60 mark for her. I should have just filled this for fun, but
and legislators
I really don't know. I really don't know how long she's late, so I don't have the alpha.
you can always say, oh,
I don't have the alpha for actually the press briefings
It's really not. It's one side. It's coming from the left
on how late she's gonna be.
on the right.
Anyone can someone track Caroline's Clash Royale account so we could see if she's still in the game or not, to see if she's gonna be late?
Day as well that I saw it
Imagine that. You know how they have like flight trackers? You just track her Instagram. You're like, she's still liking stuff on Instagram. She's on the toilet still.
to George Floyd, someone who held a weapon to a pregnant woman's stomach. I mean, that's the truth of what happened. And although we were happy that he seemed to be getting in the right direction,
She didn't say border last time, did she?
what happened in Minnesota? He was higher than a kite. The police trying to restrain him.
But if she's gonna talk about the cartel boat, I can see how that happens.
That's a popular, unpopular thing to say.
We got fade ceasefire.
Away from it as someone who has been in mainstream journalism and on the right side of history, the correct side of history. Call balls and strikes. And also cover it when it is simply opinion. But if you actually look at the
Do you think she's gonna be direct about it?
far left doctor as
Do you think she's gonna be direct about the ceasefire talks or no?
oh, nothing to see here.
She mentions Israel and Hamas probably, but
Going back a few years, oh, it's a mostly peaceful protest here in Wisconsin. Oh, in the background though, there's flames engulfing the Shell station to different private restaurants and enterprises. Amazing to watch what took place just a few short years ago, and to this revival that we're seeing not only in our government but in our churches. As Caroline Levitt will hold a press briefing momentarily, let's go there live to the James S. Brady briefing room, as we should expect her any time now with the monitors. When the monitors
I really want war, man.
Caroline is about to step out.
I don't know.
It's
She
a full
didn't.
house
She said it
once
last
again
time, but in a
today.
very weird
The White
context,
House,
though.
the most
But like
transparent
Department of War,
in
war in Gaza, war in
We've seen it on a daily basis,
Ukraine.
how
This
much
shit could
fun
hit
it
so
is
many
to cover
times,
all of that,
different
whether
ways.
it's
War
in
rid in
office,
Portland.
on a press gaggle outside of the White House,
So,
as President Trump will get on Marine One or even off of Marine One to Air Force One as we had the opportunity to ask him questions directly back in March over St. Patrick's Day. We took the flight with him from Joint Base Andrews down to the free Sunshine State of Florida. This president and his administration extraordinarily transparent, answering
You're so transparent, yeah.
given by all media, right, left, and center, and that's the way it should be in America. We live in a democracy, a constitutional republic, whose very foundation is to ask those questions.
It was so much lower though before. That's when like I got like FOMO. I got FOMO on some of these prices, bro. Like war? Trading at 64 cents before 54 cents.
This president has to
Makes me not want to just get the one that's 86.
Congress in order to get things done.
Gotta get over myself. Gotta get my diaper up my ass.
On the East Coast, we should have Caroline Leavitt just moments from now at this press briefing, the James S. Brady briefing room. They're live at the White House, and it is more packed than it has ever been. This administration focused again on that transparency in order to make America great again. And like the late great Charlie Kirk said, the more dialogue there is, the more discussion, the more peace, the more understanding, to actually put ourselves in the shoes of the
She's
other
a
person,
terrorist.
especially those who you might debate
Once,
with,
twice,
how good and how wise that is.
3 times.
Civilization stops
Designated
talking,
terrorist organizations engaged
you have
In
things
the
like
drug
violence
trafficking.
pushed by the far left in this
Used to
country.
wear masks
And so we'll see
during
if we have any
COVID
updates on.
She said 3 times last time.
Updates on the government shutdown led by Chuck Schumer.
She said
of
3
New York,
times.
And whether we have any further legislation. It's Caroline Leavitt. Let's
That's
go
not
there right
bad,
now
I guess.
for the press briefing today.
Excited to see me today. Alrighty.
She was over 15 minutes late.
Happy Monday. Let's get to it, and we'll begin with a few scheduling announcements today. President Trump will be hosting the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney tomorrow for a working meeting here at the White House. On Thursday, the president will host his 8th cabinet meeting alongside his incredible team. Also on Thursday afternoon, President Trump will host the president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, for a working meeting here at the White House. The president also wanted me to relay his congratulations to Japan for electing their next prime minister, a highly respected person who also happens to be the first female to hold the position for our great ally. While President Trump continues to negotiate peace deals, meets with world leaders, and celebrates the 250th birthday of our United States Navy, as you saw he and the First Lady do just yesterday, Democrats, unfortunately, are continuing to play political games. And we are now in day 6 of the Democrat federal government shutdown. Millions of American federal workers are under enormous financial stress as a result, wondering how they will pay their bills and take care of their families. If the Democrats do not vote to open the government tonight, federal workers will not receive their next full paycheck. Additionally, the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for women, infants, and children will run out of federal money very soon. This program provides vouchers to buy infant formula, fresh fruits and vegetables.
I might
and
buy
other healthy
Medicare
foods
here.
for low-income families.
No
It
on
can be
Medicare
easily
if she gets
fully
past this
funded
without
if
saying it.
Democrats simply vote tonight to reopen the government. Also, our incredible military service members who risk their lives to preserve and defend our country are now working without pay and will miss their next paychecks if this Democrat shutdown does not end tonight. The Republican-backed clean and nonpartisan funding bill fully funds this important food aid program, gets our troops paid.
Ooh, do we
and
buy no
reopens
clean
the
CR?
government.
She kind of dodged
So
it,
all
no?
of this begs the question: what is the Democrat ongoing shutdown truly about? The sad truth, we believe, is that the Democrats intentionally shut down the government and are inflicting this pain on American citizens to try and demand free health care for illegal aliens. Of course, this is an indefensible and truly radical policy to
what
be
a
in
very,
favor of,
crazy
let
thing to
alone
say.
to use as the primary reason to shut down the United States government. So the Democrats and their allies are desperately lying about their true motivations. We have to set the record straight with the facts so the American people understand what's really at play here. House Republicans passed a clean and nonpartisan funding bill to keep the government open and ensure our troops and other hardworking
She dodged
Americans
it
are
twice.
paid.
Do we buy
Every
no on
single
this?
House Democrat except one voted against this clean and nonpartisan funding bill. Senate Republicans have subsequently tried to pass this same clean funding bill 4 separate times, and they will
I don't
do
know.
so
She's
again
saying it so
tonight
much. She could say it
to
again.
fully pass it to be sent to the president's
It's
desk
gone
for
down, though.
signature. And the president is ready to sign this bill to reopen the government as soon as it is sent to his desk. Yet every single Senate Democrat except 3 have voted against this clean and nonpartisan funding bill. The Democrats' current position is that the only way the American government can reopen is if illegal aliens can get free health care. Don't take my word for it, just look at what's inside of the Democrats' proposal to reopen the government. Their funding proposal would result in nearly $200 billion spent on health care for illegal aliens and other non-citizens over the next decade. To put this in perspective, $200 billion is enough money to fund the entire children's health insurance program, which provides health insurance to low-income children and women. Under the Democrats' proposal, the millions of illegal aliens who improperly were granted asylum and paroled under the Biden administration would once again be allowed to receive Medicaid benefits. It does not end there. The Democrat proposal would
Medicaid.
also require Medicaid to pay more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than it does for American patients who are disabled, elderly, or children. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. The Democrat Party has unfortunately closed our government, costing Americans their jobs, threatening our military readiness, harming our economy, and causing chaos, all to help the illegals who broke into our country. Instead of holding illegal aliens accountable and removing them from our country, which is what this administration is trying to do every day, the Democrats want to give them the free benefits paid for by the American taxpayer. Democrats in 2025 are for illegal aliens first.
We could
and
get clean
Americans
CR
last.
for 59.
This is the reality we are unfortunately facing right now in Washington, D.C. President Trump and Republicans will not give in to these radical demands. The president and Republicans have a sacred responsibility to serve and protect the interests of their constituents, the American people. That's why we are backing a clean and nonpartisan funding bill with no strings attached to reopen the government.
She said clean and
Democrats should do what they
nonpartisan
did
so many times.
13 separate times under Joe Biden and vote for
Biden.
this exact same type of funding bill.
Biden hit.
Now the Senate will vote tonight for the 5th time to reopen the government on the 6th day of this shutdown. All we need are an additional 5 Democrat senators to end this madness and vote
She
for
almost
the
hit
clean
6-7
funding bill
there.
to reopen the government. If you are an American watching at home right
I'm
now,
an
call your
idiot.
Democrat senators and tell them to do the right thing and end this shutdown. With that, I will take your questions. Here in our new media seat today, we have Elizabeth Mitchell from the Daily Signal. Elizabeth, thanks for being here, and please kick us off.
Thank you for having me. I have 2 questions. First, President Trump told reporters yesterday that firings of federal employees are taking place right now. In which departments have people already been fired from their federal jobs due to the shutdown?
The president was referring to the hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have been furloughed as a result of this federal government shutdown, both here at the White House and across the entire federal government, at agencies across the board. There are federal workers who are staying home. Many of them work in the White House. You know them. Some of them sit just behind me at those desks. They are unable to show up to work right now because the Democrats chose to shut the government down. And so we're already, unfortunately, seeing the consequence of this. And then, of course, the Office of Management and Budget is continuing
She said
to work
fired,
with
though.
agencies on
Any of them
who,
got fired? You could
unfortunately,
just
is
say
going to
no
have
or
to be
yes,
laid off
right?
if this shutdown continues.
And Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the FDA was required by federal law to approve the new abortion pill last week. Is the administration considering steps to undo this in light of requests from pro-life Congress members and organizations?
I think Secretary Kennedy and the Department of Health and Human Services, as I addressed in the briefing last week, we're following the law, and we will continue to do so. As I said last week as well, it's not an
You
endorsement.
put
of
no
this
on
drug by
Medicare,
any
man. I
means.
should have
It's
gotten
just a
early
law
on
that
these
they were
prices,
following.
though. I got
Jennifer.
I got so much
You say
FOMO
that
on some of these
want
prices.
People to call their Democratic senators. Is the president calling Democratic senators himself? Can you say what he's doing today to resolve the shutdown?
Yep, I was just in the Oval Office. He was on the phone with Speaker Johnson. He's also spoken with the Senate Majority Leader, who are in touch with, of course, moderate Democrats and Democrats across the board, who we understand hopefully want to do the right thing by their constituents to reopen the government. So the president is being kept very well apprised of the ongoing shutdown on
I'm
Capitol
monitoring
Hill.
some of these
And of course,
prices,
his
wondering if
position
they
is very
fall off
clear.
or
There's
not.
nothing to negotiate, just reopen the government, and then we can talk about all the important issues facing our country.
So he hasn't called specific members of
Can we
Congress.
do
Not to
no
my knowledge.
Chicago? That'd be
And then on
fucking
the Affordable
crazy,
Care
right?
Act,
Am I
is he
crazy for
willing
that?
To
Am I crazy for thinking no Chicago?
To share more on what he'd like
I
to
know the
negotiate
National
on
Guard. They
on
could
the
ask a
Affordable
question
Care
about
Act
it.
later. Is he willing to say specifically what he would like and when?
Oh, Illinois
Look,
sued
the
them.
president is definitely committed to fixing and improving our healthcare system. You saw it again last week when he had one of the largest
Should we go
pharmaceutical
yes,
companies
National Guard?
in the world coming into the Oval Office and promising to lower drug prices by 200, 300, 100% in many cases for various types of drugs for American patients. That is a huge fix to a broken system that has been ripping off the American people for far too long. So the president's very committed to this. But right now, we need to reopen the federal government, and the president is remaining very firm in that position. Catherine.
If the vote fails in the Senate today to reopen the government, would that trigger layoffs?
Look, again, we hope that the vote will not fail.
Yeah.
Because
Don't
this
think about what
administration
happens if it
wants to
doesn't.
reopen
Don't
the
think about what
government. We
happens
don't
if it
want to see
doesn't.
people laid off. But
Huh.
unfortunately, if this shutdown continues, layoffs are going to be an unfortunate consequence of that.
Is there a timing for when that would happen?
Well, look, we'll see how the vote goes tonight.
And can you confirm, is the White House floating a proposal to cap Obamacare subsidies by denying them to new enrollees?
I have not seen a proposal like that. Emily.
Thanks, Caroline. The president said yesterday he was considering a phase 2 approach to Venezuela. Is the president considering U.S. boots on the ground or any kind of support of overthrowing Maduro?
I won't get into any specific proposals that are being considered by the president and his national security team, but I think we've been pretty transparent and clear in the administration's view of the illegitimate Maduro regime, and the president has taken very unprecedented, tough action to end the illegal trafficking of illicit drugs into our country from Maduro's illegitimate regime. Danny, go ahead.
Antifa fell all the way.
Yeah,
Antifa
French
fell all the way to
government's
69.
collapsed again for the fourth time in a year. And I was just wondering if there's any concern in the White House about the kind of ongoing political crisis there, and any thought about whether the President Trump's good friend, President Macron, should either call elections or even resign over that.
Well, I can tell you the White House and the National Security Council are very much aware of this situation, but I think it would be imprudent of me to weigh in on French internal politics from the podium, so I will reserve comment on that. Behind you, yes.
What is
She doesn't
President
know.
Trump's expectations for talks today and I guess this week in Egypt? And is there a new timeline that the president is giving all sides to reach an agreement?
We really
there
talking
are
about
technical
Egypt
talks
now?
happening right now in Egypt amongst Special Envoy Witkoff and Mr. Kushner, as well as their respective parties from all sides.
When did she get to
What
Hamas?
we saw take place on Friday, and I have not commented on that from the podium yet, is truly remarkable. You've seen all sides of this conflict agree that this war needs to end,
war
and
did
agree
hit.
to the 20-point framework that President Trump proposed. It's an incredible
War
achievement,
did hit.
and the administration is working very hard to move the ball forward as quickly as we can. The president wants to see a ceasefire. He wants to see the hostages released, and the technical teams are discussing that as we speak to ensure that
it was already
the
set,
environment
wasn't it?
is perfect to release those hostages. They're going over the lists of both the Israeli hostages and also the political prisoners who will be released. And those talks are underway, and the president is very much on the ball and is being apprised of this situation.
President has given a Sunday evening deadline. Obviously, the negotiations have extended that, I imagine. What is that new deadline? Does the president have a time frame in mind to see this phase implemented?
Well, the Sunday evening deadline was to hear back from Hamas on the proposal one way or another. And of course, on Friday, Hamas put out a very clear statement in the president's view that they accept the president's framework, and that's why those technical talks are now underway. But again, we want to move very quickly on this, and the president wants to see the hostages released as soon as possible.
Do we fade Israel?
Steve?
Let's see. Let's guess it.
Technical talks to last, Caroline.
I don't want to draw a red line up here, Steve. Of course, it's very important, as I just mentioned, that we get this done quickly. That's how the president's team feels, so we can
she
get
said
some
Israel.
momentum, get the hostages out, and then
She
move
said
to
Israel.
the next part of this, which is really ensuring that we can create a lasting and durable peace in Gaza and ensure that Gaza is a place that no longer threatens the security of Israel or the United States.
So I'm about 15 seconds behind on the actual.
I'm sure
the actual
trade will
stream,
be
the
a
Kalshi.
topic of discussion tomorrow and all of the other issues that are facing both Canada and the United States. I know the president looks forward to having that discussion with Carney in the Oval Office. Caitlin.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions. On the layoff of federal workers, potentially, the president said yesterday that Democrats will be to blame
if federal workers lose their jobs. Historically, though, in past shutdowns, workers have been furloughed, but they have not been laid off en masse. So wouldn't that be the president's call to lay people off?
As I've said repeatedly, Caitlin, this conversation about layoffs would not be happening right now if the Democrats did not vote to shut the government down. And as I also said last briefing as well, we are $37 trillion in debt, and the government is not receiving any cash. So someone has to look at the balance sheet and be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar. And layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of that.
Term, for example.
Well, as I'm telling you now, this administration is focusing on checking the balance sheet and ensuring we're doing the right thing by the American taxpayer. And again, these conversations about layoffs would not be happening in the White House today if not for the Democrat shutdown. And they have a choice to change that. They have another opportunity
I'm gonna
tonight
buy some clean,
to do
the
the right
clean
thing
CR
to reopen
because
the
she's
government.
like dodging.
Joey.
Judge over the weekend. Sorry, my second question. A federal judge over the weekend that the president had appointed to the bench in his first term in office basically argued that he could not deploy other states' National Guards to Portland. Basically said that it was untethered, his argument, to what is actually happening on the ground.
He hits Portland
Which
here now.
local officials in Portland have said that the National Guard is needed there?
With all due respect to that judge, I think her opinion is untethered in reality and in the law. The president is using his authority as Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Code 12406, which clearly states that the president has the right to call up the National Guard in cases where he deems it's appropriate. And if you look at what has happened in Portland, Oregon, for more than 100 nights, I was talking to our law enforcement team about it this morning, for more than 100
We got no.
days,
I didn't know
night
clean
after
CR
night after
right
night,
here because
the ICE
she's
facility
dodged it
has
so many
been
times.
really under siege by these anarchists.
We're gonna
outside.
hope.
They have
We're gonna
been,
hope they stop asking questions
disrespecting
about
law
the
enforcement. They've
actual
been inciting
resolution
violence.
itself.
We saw again a guillotine rolled out in front of this federal building, and so the president wants to ensure that our federal buildings and our assets are protected. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. And ultimately, in the case in Los Angeles, that judge ruled in the Ninth Circuit, that panel of judges ruled that those troops could remain and that the president was well within his authority to do so. So we are appealing that decision. As you know, we expect a hearing on it pretty quickly. And we're very confident in the president's legal authority to do this, and we're very confident we will win on the merits of the law.
But no local officials that you can point to that have said we need the National Guard? Because I spoke to the police chief of Portland last week. He said that the president's claims just don't match up with what's happening on the ground.
I would encourage you as a reporter to go on the ground and to take a look at for yourself, because there's been many members of the press, not
You have to go to
room,
Portland
but
yourself
independent
to
journalists, some of
figure
whom
out
will be
what the
inviting
fuck's
to the
going
White House
on.
very soon to share
Hey,
their
you're not
stories,
there.
because they have
You can't
been
say
in the
shit.
middle of
You've
these
never been
riots,
there.
and they have witnessed the anarchy that is taking place night after night. It's on video. You should play it on your show. You have a great opportunity on prime time on CNN to show your audience. Yeah, but you're probably talking to partisan Democrat officials who are opposed to everything this president does. You should also ask the people who live in Portland. We've actually heard from many
Wow,
members
Portland really hit,
of
no?
the community
That
who
one-
have
that
said
one was obvious,
that
though.
this is complete civil disobedience. It's a mess. It's been loud. It's been troubling for neighbors in the community who are just trying
we
to
really
live
gonna be talking about
peacefully.
China?
And these people are not there to peacefully protest. They are there to cause mayhem and havoc.
Yeah, Caroline.
Steven, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. First, do you have a reaction to reports that thousands of Cuban troops are deployed alongside Russia fighting in Ukraine? And on a very different matter,
Ukraine,
the president
Russia?
last week floated in an interview with our colleague Daniel from One America a rebate
Did you dodge
for
it?
tariffs of
It's
up
gone.
to $2,000
Someone's selling
per
12 cent
person.
shares.
Is
Oh,
that
where'd they
plan
go?
contingent on the Supreme Court's upcoming ruling on the legality of the tariffs? And is the White House preparing for legislation to make that happen?
Sure. On the first point, I have not seen that report, Stephen, but I'll check in with our national security team after this and we'll get you an update. To your second point about the tariff rebates, I think it's an idea that the president has discussed and floated with his team of advisors, but no decision has been firmly made at this point in time. Why don't we
Well,
go
she
to
really
the
dodged
back?
Ukraine and Russia.
Good afternoon.
No?
A few days ago, President Trump demanded Jay Jones of Virginia get out of the race for condoning political violence in a text message against a Republican politician a few years ago. He hasn't left the race. He hasn't dropped out. What's the president's reaction?
Well, as you know, I'm not at liberty to discuss political races from the podium. I think the president himself made his position very clear, and I think anyone could agree the messages that were sent by this Democrat nominee for Attorney General in Virginia are really shocking, alarming, and completely unacceptable. He was threatening to kill his opponent and his opponent's children, and
What
that
the
type of
fuck?
rhetoric has zero place in our country, and the
Real?
president
Is that
has
real?
absolutely right to condemn that.
I don't even know. You go. Shaq Rock. Fact check that, bro. Is that real?
Have questioned and scrutinized the president's comments about using potentially the military, American cities, as
National
training
Guard.
grounds for the military. And when you look at Portland, Chicago, local and state officials say that their
Here
local
could
law
be
enforcement
Chicago.
is able to handle the situations, these protests on the ground.
Do you live?
The president says
live by
that
some.
Portland
I've
is
just got
burning,
no conviction
using that
right
as
now, man. 'Cause I see
justification
some
for
of
the
these
National Guard in
prices.
Portland. But when you
I
look
know,
here
like, I
in
could have got yes
Washington,
Chicago
DC,
at like
the president
70.
just last week said
I just
it's
don't
now
want to go buy it
completely
at
safe
90.
city,
Like, what's the
and
what's
there
the
are still
fucking
National
point?
Guard members on the streets that are not involved in ICE activities. Can you provide the justification for the White House here in Washington, D.C., why the National Guard members continue to be out on the streets?
Because Washington, D.C. has invited the National Guard here. Why? Because the mayor is doing the right thing, unlike mayors in other cities like Portland, as Caitlin and others have pointed out, who refuse to see that there are positive results from when local law enforcement works with federal law enforcement to do the right thing on behalf of their citizens. And Washington, D.C. is no doubt a safer city right now, today, than it was a few months ago when President Trump started this initiative to make D.C. safe again. And the National Guard is still here because the president and the mayor agree that it's a good thing for the city. Just like you're seeing in Memphis, for instance. We'll have National Guard deployed to Memphis. We have federal agents who are on the ground working with state and local law enforcement. The state police in Tennessee are part of this effort. The local metropolitan police in Memphis are part of this effort. State and local law enforcement and federal law enforcement should be working together. And it's a shame that we see in some cities across the country that their mayors are just simply refusing to cooperate because they don't like Donald Trump. And that's what this boils down to. And I don't think any American would disagree that Chicago needs more law enforcement reinforcements, that they need more resources. Look at this headline from over the weekend. At least 30 people shot during the weekend in Democrat-run Chicago. 5 of them were killed in one weekend.
Man,
This
if I
is
knew you had that
completely
paper, I would have bought
unacceptable, and the
Chicago.
president wants to make American cities safer, and he's willing to work with anyone to do it.
If the courts allow you to ultimately send in the National Guard into Chicago and Portland, do Democrats not have reason to be concerned that there are long-term plans by this administration to keep U.S. military or the National Guard in American cities, like what we're seeing here in Washington?
Why should they be concerned about the federal government offering help to make their cities a safer place? They should be concerned about this. They should be concerned about the fact that people in their cities right now are being gunned down every single night, and the president
This is
always
like a
trying to do
debate
is
right
fix
here. They got a
it.
debate
And there
in the
has
press
been a
briefing.
complete smear campaign by the Democrats and the media, quite frankly. I was reading Political Playbook this morning, one of the most inside the Beltway newsletters you can find. And you
We buy
guys
Yes
are framing
Border.
this like the president wants to take over the American cities with the military. The president wants to help these local leaders who have been completely ineffective in securing their own cities. And we have already seen there's a positive formula for that. Look at Washington, D.C. The murder rate has declined significantly. Our streets are safer. People who live here feel safer. All of you in this room, I know you do. You just won't admit it. And it's a proven system
You
that
just
works,
won't
and the
admit
president
it?
wants to make America's cities safe again. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions, if I may.
Because the mayor wants them. Michael.
These talks in Egypt, if Hamas does agree
Done
to
20.
relinquish power and give it up, cede power to this transitional
20 minutes.
technocratic government, if that does happen, would the Trump administration then recognize a Palestinian state?
Look, I don't want to get ahead of the technical talks right now, Michael. They're extremely sensitive. They're taking place, again, as we speak, and there's a lot of, there's many things to discuss, of course.
said.
This is, hopefully, we expect and we hope going to be one of the greatest peace deals this world has ever seen. And the Trump administration is working diligently and working very hard to get there. And as I said, Friday, all terms agreed.
No clean
we
CR,
have the
come
Arab
on.
countries who are working with us. Of course, Israel has been incredible in
Get off.
cooperating with the president's plan and agreeing to it. And we're very hopeful,
Wrap it up.
and we expect that to continue.
You tweeted about this
Sure,
over the
go ahead.
weekend.
Thank you.
And I was going to you in
Can
the
you go no
blue shirt
Russia?
and tie.
Thank you,
Yes,
Caroline.
you're
John
welcome.
Michael, the Daily Mail. Today, the Supreme Court declined to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal. Will Trump rule out granting her clemency? Is that something the White House is considering?
It's not something I've heard discussed, and we don't comment on
No
clemency
energy?
requests that may or may not have been made, but I'm certainly not tracking that one at this point in time.
There's so many.
Jordan, go ahead.
Thank you,
You gonna wrap this up or what,
So
Caroline?
we're talking about these radical groups in Portland and Chicago. I know the president has spoken about potentially going after George Soros with RICO charges and for funding all of this violence. Has there been any update on that? And also, is the administration looking into the other nonprofits, maybe taking away their 501c3 status for funding this violence?
We could go no energy, but it was trading at like 55.
Sure. The financial backing
During
of these,
even the speech.
Groups, particularly Antifa, is certainly something
Antifa.
the administration is looking into aggressively. And the federal government has never
help
really been
herself.
mobilized or tasked with doing that. So we're kind of kickstarting that into gear. The FBI is working on it alongside the White House's Homeland Security Task Force. We have our intelligence community looking into this as well. And even the Secretary of Treasury is involved with these matters since they are financial in nature. And we will continue to get to the bottom of who is funding these organizations in this organized anarchy against our country and our government. It's a question the American people
She
have
gets
been
past this
begging
without the
answer
terrorist?
for many years, and we're committed to uncovering it. And when we do, I'm sure you'll be one of the first people to know.
Separately,
Jonathan.
Caroline.
Still ask about the
So
boat,
Gaza,
though.
under the president's plan, is going to be governed by a transitional governance of a
Really, bro? He's reading from his phone?
Committee made up of qualified.
Who the fuck are they letting in the press briefings, bro? This guy's
Given
reading
how
straight off his
radicalized the
phone.
Palestinian population is in Gaza and in the West Bank. Can you offer some insight or guidance into who are some of these Palestinians that are going to be considered for leadership roles in Gaza, and where you're going to be finding them, and do you have any names?
Yeah, Caroline.
We're not quite there yet, Jonathan. The president believes peace is possible in Gaza, and that's why he presented this detailed and comprehensive plan. The first step of that is securing a ceasefire and releasing the hostages, and then those conversations about ensuring a durable and lasting peace can continue. But what do you need to have peace in a region like Gaza that's been war-torn for far too long? You need security
Someone's
guarantees,
really still thinking
and
she's
you
gonna
need,
say energy.
Good governance, and so those will be two of the priorities that this administration is focused
74
on.
cents,
The president
77
has said he
cents.
wants the government to reopen this week in a deal. What's going to happen by the end of the week if there's no deal? What's the White House prepared to do?
With no deal with what?
To reopen the government.
Look, as I said, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of pain inflicted. There already is on the American public, on our troops who are not being paid, again, on women and young children who depend on critical food assistance. We hate to see this, and in fact, the Office of Management and Budget is trying to do everything they can to find funds to get out the door for these vulnerable populations in our country. Again, we shouldn't be having to do that. The Democrats have a chance to change course tonight. I believe the vote's taking place at 6:30, and we urge Democrat senators
She's ending
to
it?
vote
She end it?
to reopen the government and to do the right thing. Thanks, guys.
Damn, she got pissed and ended it early. Let's go, Caroline. Yes! The Caroline storm out. Boom. All right. I'm kind of a fucking pussy.
And Caroline
I'm not even
Leavitt
gonna lie.
wrapping up the press briefing live from the James S. Brady.
Okay, I'm kind of a pussy, but also this was like the first this is like the first one I live traded basically. I think. Like otherwise I would like come in a little bit prepared. I didn't even know what the fuck was going on. But no, we live traded Clean CR because we heard her dodge it a bunch of times. We made $20 on the Clean CR no. No Clean CR. Let's go. Yeah, she dodged it. She said clean and what I forgot what it was. Yeah. She said clean and nonpartisan strike. She said that 3 or 4 times at the beginning. I bought the no at the 69 cents, which was available. Okay, like I know I was saying the whole time I had FOMO. No Clean R was available at like 15 cents this entire time, so kind of fucking, on me, but at least we made $20 from that basically. And everything else, no China, no Russia, no Ukraine, all hit. All the names of the countries. That's pretty good. That's pretty good to know, at least. That's pretty good to know, at least. She dodges some of the countries, but All right, I'll take that as successful, bro. I literally locked in like clean CR right after the questions. There was a couple like realistically I should have gotten in at war because I really thought that one. Other stuff was a fucking lock, like National Guard, Portland, Chicago, ICE, Hamas, Israel. I just didn't know how expansive she was gonna be about the deal in general. Whether she was gonna be like, oh, I can't talk until there's a deal, or she kind of was, but she still, still said Israel and still said Hamas. But W Caroline, we made $20 live trading the Caroline. Next time, come little more prepared, but. I mean, W. She said no clean CR. She didn't say clean CR. That's my baby girl right there, Caroline. Baby girl, going into your nasty central. All right, let's see. Will I be back for any mentions tonight? When's the Oh, we got the Taylor Swift one tonight. Yeah, we're doing that one. Jimmy Fallon, Taylor Swift. I don't want to click it. I don't want to show you some of the stuff I got. But let's say I'm a lot more prepared for that one than I am the Caroline one. I just popped in on this Caroline, made the $20. Working $20 an hour. It's like I'm working at 7-Eleven. Got a minimum wage job. All right.